From Barangaroo Studios, the ausbiz COB is the key stuff you need to know about the day in business and finance.
Well, welcome to the program. This is the COB. I'm Nadine Blaney here with Danielle eked and Danny. Friday.
Indeed, it's a Friday, and but unfortunately not so yay when it came to the market. So a bit of profit taking today. I have the ASX 200 down about 0.2%, almost 18 points. I guess, and the SIBO 200 off 2 points, or almost, well, just over 0.1%. So a little bit drab and dreary, sadly.
It is, it sure is. So it looks as if we might just scrape in there with a bit of a positive week, you know, if the last of the day's trades don't ruin things. But I noticed just recently that the small end of the market is looking strong today. Relatively speaking, the small ords is up by close to 0.7%. So yeah, just something to hang your hats on. And just at this time, I think it's worthwhile checking in on USE minis. Relatively flat for the S&P 500s, and the NASDAQ is also just mildly positive. Because Danny, you know, obviously we've got reporting season here, which we'll get into, but we had that inflation read overnight.
Yeah, no, really interesting. I mean, on one count, it was a little bit better than expected, and there's now talk that the Fed can go on pause. But it's almost that thing, like suddenly if you back out accommodation and things, it looks like inflation's really coming down. And then you have to question, what if it really comes down? Does that mean the economy's slowing down more than expected? So it's almost like everything's a little bit discounted in markets at the moment.
Absolutely. So we've got our three themes being reporting season, rates expectations, not just in the US, and there was a lot of talk of that, because there's a lot of data to come, and those Fed speakers were saying, you know, there's still many data points between the next Fed meeting. But I'm also here as well because we had Lowe speaking, and I think I've got a quote here that we can just chew over, because he really was making the point that, you know, don't assume that we are not going to see any more interest rate hikes. That was in keeping with the conversations I was having today with experts, Stephen Miller from GSFM, Ilya Spivak from Tasty Trade. All of those interviews are online. And Andrew Ticehurst from Nomura as well, saying, they don't think we've hit peak rates.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I've been picking up that spending, everybody closed their wallets over the last few weeks. So we'll get to that maybe when we touch on maybe a couple of the retailers, because they're also picking up on that thing. But yeah, no, it is interesting. I truly think the central bankers are just waiting to see how the data pans out. And potentially energy could play a part, you know, start to unhinge a little bit some of these inflation reads. There's lots of known unknowns. Yeah,
exactly. And that was a point that Ilya Spivak was making as well, that, you know, you have to put fuel in your car, and that is an immediate impact, especially in the States, on consumer confidence. We do get a read out on consumer confidence tonight. So I'd encourage you to actually listen to that interview. I thought it was good. And one thing we haven't mentioned just yet is Andrew Ticehurst from Nomura. How can I put it? He was sort of saying that China's potentially the menace, right? That we need to really consider how bad China could get, because this slow drip of stimulus isn't really having the impact.
Yeah, a similar interview yesterday afternoon from Hua Hong, and amazing. He's in China, and he just said it's actually worse than what's being reported, which is really interesting, because other people are saying, it's not as bad. So, you know, it's, China is not providing, you know, that global growth engine that in the past, certainly post GFC,
that we benefited so much from as well.
Quite, indeed. Australia, indeed.
Look, you sort of referenced it, but we did see oil prices coming off in Asian trade, and actually the energy sector was one of the worst performers today. So we did see oil, as you know, this week hitting the highest level in 2023. I chatted with Tony Sycamore. He's another guy that's up online if you'd like to listen in, and he looks at the charts, and so we had a bit of a chat about where
they've had a good run, haven't they? Yeah, I think some people are looking to take a little bit of profits there, because I think technically, didn't he say the oil prices kind of reached a peak and things.
And don't forget, we do get some reports from these companies. Beach Energy, I mean, I'm not going to mention everyone that's reporting next week, but we do get Beach Energy reporting next week. The materials space,
I think that was a bit, I have it down, down about, down 0.45%. I have on my screen. So yeah, some profit taking coming in there, nothing too major. Having a look, FMG, how much was that down? About 1.8. There we go, about 1.86%. So yeah, some profit taking in Rio as well, and that went ex-dividend yesterday.
Tech as well was lower today. Just let's take a look at that. So 9 out of the 11 sectors were lower. Guess what was the best performer?
I know.
Retailers, consumer discretionary.
Absolutely. They were on a roll today, and really the surprise one, I guess we had Syrah yesterday, and then today, Nick Scali, look at that, those stonkingly good results. What again was interesting there, I was trying to do a bit of catch-up reading, is that great results, but the latest sales figures in July are really dropping. Yeah, so that, I guess, if you're looking for clouds on the horizon, certainly they're being flagged there.
Yeah, and I think that was, I think we've got healthcare as well, one of the sectors that did look pretty positive overall today. And we do get Cochlear reporting next week.
Correct, and CSL on the 15th.
Yeah, so really big week for the healthcare space next week. But just back to the retailers, because of course you had Nick Scali, and that was a record result, and we saw that share price reaction really, really well.
Yeah.
Even, I didn't see that update on the trading now, because I had a chat with June Bailu from Tribeca Investment Partners
it's
early
falling.
in the week, and she said, with the retailers, you don't care so much about what's happened in the past. What you want to know is what's happening now, what they're seeing in trading now. So Baby Bunting was another company that did report today, and the first 6 weeks have not been going well for Baby Bunting.
No.
I think that its share price would have fallen more severely if it hadn't already guided the market to a very tough result. But yeah, I wonder why Nick Scali is being treated so differently if they're also seeing
maybe it's I don't know, a bit of short covering or something strange going on there, because I mean it was a good result, and I think they also increased the dividend as well. And so they've also got Plush Think sofas, which have contributed. And I'm just trying to quickly find in terms of going forward, because really it is always about the outlook now. That is what is really, really important. He said July sales, this is the CEO, were okay, and he did not expect to have to discount more to move stock this year. So he said it was okay.
Going by memory, they don't actually provide a lot of guidance, Nick Scali. So there you go. REA, so actually pulled itself to flat to end the session, which is better than it was doing before. It actually cut its dividend after it saw annual profit fall by 7.5%. But in the wake of it, it's already seen its price target lifted by Morgan's by about 7%. And News Corp, its parent company, it was out today as well.
I think they've been doing some restructuring, because they did have a loss from memory. But nevertheless, it looks like it's a better than expected result that's come out there from News Corp.
Okay, so let's get to Viva Leisure. I just thought I'd pop something in here from the smaller end of town.
Absolutely.
12% gain in the wake of its results. So it is fitness, Danny. Do you think fitness is discretionary? Would you cut back or go to cheaper? Yeah. Okay.
No, but I have a really affordable gym, so it really helps. But I look, no, I guess the thing is with gyms, you can always trade down to a gym that's not as expensive. But I don't know, since lockdown, I don't know.
Well,
maybe
it's
everybody's
also
back.
convenience.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to go someplace close, even if you could save $5, but you've got to get in your car and go further. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting, and we spoke with the CEO on the small cap, so you can take a listen to that if you so desire. And then we get to some of the non-reporting season news, Danny, and like Star Entertainment Group.
Absolutely. So basically, Mookie, the Treasurer of New South Wales, has thrown them, I suppose, a golden carrot and said, we're not going to penalise you so much, and the stock rallied. He basically said this company needs a lifeline. I think they've actually made a strategic decision that they don't want Star Entertainment to go bust. Yeah, that's what I interpreted. And but it was stock of the day, and Adam Dawes and Gaurav Sodhi were basically outlining what they thought of it, and maybe we can catch up with their views.
Hard to jump in and buy it,
right?
But it may be the right call now. Robbie Cook, the new CEO, you needed a clean-out of the board. You need new management. You've got that. He's a really good manager with a fantastic track record, And I'm pleased he's there. And as long as he's there, I still think there is a chance of a turnaround. So I'm going to go hold with this one. For more iron-stomached individuals, you might be able to take a nibble on this as well. But geez, that is a very brave call. And so far,
Star is going to have to take a horrible deal because they know that they need the money. So it's going to be, it's going to be a pretty tough one. For me, it's a sell. I don't think you need to be there. If you haven't sold it now, it was at 90 cents today, $1.15. It's been pretty tough. So yeah, I just don't. There's too many other headwinds that will continue with this one for me.
Yeah, so the experts weren't really upbeat on that one, and Paul Goref, a couple of their funds have owned it, so he really is bearing the scars and the wounds and just couldn't go back in there. And it's just worth noting that the New South Wales Treasurer Daniel Mookie said that they've slashed the tax plan by 2/3, and he says this will save the business. So, this is almost like it's a strategically important asset for at least Darling Harbour, but certainly
Darling
New South
Harbour,
Wales.
and I suppose the jobs, the
and
tourism
also too,
dollars.
they want probably competition to Crown. They don't want everybody just to have, just one person to eat all the cake. But as we were saying, you can't get the high rollers anymore. You can't get the whales in. The businesses have been really curbed to stop that money laundering. So very challenging business. They liked other stocks like BetMakers and even PointsBet.
Okay, all right. Well, that episode of The Call is online, and you can also listen to it in podcast form if you're listening to this in podcast form and it's your thing. But hey, listen, it's a Friday. Let's get to some of these market leaders and the laggards. We're not going to keep you here all day. Star Entertainment topping the list. AMP in the wake of its results. Some of the brokers were pretty favorable on AMP, and the other ones, boy, it's nice to see names that aren't in for the results. Danny, let's flip the page, see what really did some damage on the market overall.
BlueScope, now they've announced, I think, a $450 million investment in their coated products. Market didn't like that. Mesoblast, well, that's bouncing around all over the place at the moment, isn't it? And Suncorp continuing to fall. Just interesting, I read on Twitter that the coal stocks could be a beneficiary if this strike goes ahead with Whitehaven and Chevron, just worth noting.
I hadn't thought of that. Okay, and don't forget, next week we get some quarterlies coming from NAB, ANZ. I don't think Westpac, don't quote me on it though. I should know that.
I should be able to
while you do that, I'll just go through some of these small cap leaders and laggards. And there's Viva Leisure on there, Select Harvests, and on the flip side of the equation, we've got some pain coming through for Shine Justice. Don't see that on there very much.
No.
And EnviroSuite down by 6.6%.
Indeed. Shall we check in and see what's happening next week?
Well, tonight I just thought University of Michigan survey for the consumers and UK GDP, the economy that could, and then PPI, of course.
Indeed.
In the US. I feel like so much attention was put on the consumer price index.
Absolutely.
We've been talking about that a lot. And next week, Danny, I mean, apart from reporting season, it's a big one.
It is a big one. We're going to be busy little bunnies, but we wouldn't have it any other way, would we? RBA minutes, wage price index, jobs report, US retail sales. That'll be really interesting. FOMC meetings. Now, August, I think that's when they all go away and have their big powwow. Which
they do.
Yes, I've forgotten.
Jackson
Hole, which will be, I think, quite important. Manufacturing and housing also out of the US. And of course, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the China spending, investment and production, because the numbers this week weren't pretty, whether it's the CPI, PPI, but also the trade data out of China was weak.
Okay. So there you have it. That is the day. As we mentioned, the list is so long, and I will give FN Arena a shout out because they've got a calendar, if you're a subscriber, that is really good when it comes to reporting season, and economic data that's coming up as well, because so many of the dates aren't clear, and they're not clear really for quite some time. Look at this. Week to date, up by 0.2%.
0.2.
I'm a Friday girl, so I'm going to stick with the optimistic outlook. So it's better than it being super negative. But Danny, today down by 0.25%, 7,340.
Absolutely, and the SIBO down 2 points, or just over 1/10 of a point. 0.1%. God, my brain's not working.
Hey, it's Friday in reporting season, and it was a big week on the macro front as well. let's give it a wrap, but we will give a shout out to the Matildas, I think.
Oh, indeed.
It's going to be a good little Saturday.
Absolutely.
Early evening, late afternoon. And yeah, you can catch up with everything online. Look forward to our weekend newsletter, Off the Clock. And I hope that you and you all have a really good weekend.
Bye.